Hey, welcome back to the Disturbing Illusion channel. While the tech bros and their technocratic control grid tightens the digital noose around all of our necks, channels like Matt Morse TV and other pro-father the VAXX channels want us to believe that the current press secretary is a truth teller exposing leftist media. Let's take a look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trump's new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, just held her first official White House press conference, and I think it's fair to say she just got done absolutely cooking the liberal media. So with today's video, what I want to do is go through all of her debut highlights and really break stuff down with you guys. So without further delay, let's get right into it. Take a look at how she immediately took control of the room and set the standard for how these press briefings are going to operate.
And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's
wildly popular, kind of like the $6.2 trillion big pharma corporate elitist handout at the expense of all Americans, one of the biggest power and wealth transfers in the history of the entire world. I know I keep mentioning this, but this is important because people really want to ignore not the elephant in the living room. They want to ignore the sperm whale flopping around in the living room. And they're pretty successful at it because that's how dishonest they are, including this one right here.
correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room.
Oh, kind of like safe and effective? You mean like that lie in the waning months of the Trump presidency? It's like a gift that descended from God, Donald Trump said, calling himself the father of the VAXX. And she's the spokesperson. She's the press secretary for the White House in Washington's District of Criminals.
I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not...
That's true. And what do you expect fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird MK Ultra Media to do? They are there to lie. They are there to deceive you. They're there to propagandize. They're the propaganda arm for the military-industrial complex, including faux news and the Counterfeit News Network and NBC and everything in between.
Accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
You hear that? No messing around, no funny business, and no lies. Just clear, concise, and true information about what's really going on behind the scenes.
No lies, just truth, and Matt Morse TV just takes that at face value, and a lot of people agree with him. Look at this. He's got in 3 weeks. This was launched 3 weeks ago. He's got 1.2 million views, and he's got a crazy like to dislike ratio of 56,000 likes to 712 dislikes. And they compare Leavitt with the last press secretary, cringe Jean-Pierre, which again, I don't care if you're covering as a press secretary for the Biden administration or if you're covering as a press secretary for the Trump administration. I don't care if you're Kayleigh McEnany. I don't care if you're Karine Jean-Pierre. I don't care if you're Karoline Leavitt. You are there as a front person, as a prostitute for Washington, D.C., for the White House. I don't care who sits in there. You're basically the press secretary and the paid liar for the Federal Reserve. Period.
That's what we can all expect. And I have to say, what a breath of fresh air that is. Remember our last press secretary? With her, it was just lie after lie after lie, and we never actually got any real information.
People really believe this. And because the left versus right paradigm lie is so powerful, because it's been so effective for so long, people like Matt Morse TV and hundreds of thousands, millions of other people, they let their guard down because their guy is in the White House. Their guy is sitting behind the desk resolute at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Their guy is the one calling the shots. But when it's the other guy who's working for the same team owners, by the way, Biden worked for the Federal Reserve, Trump works for the Federal Reserve, Reagan worked for the Federal Reserve. They all work for the Federal Reserve and the IRS. They're all for the income tax, or they would have already eliminated it by now, but they're not going to. And if they do, let's say they do, the Trump administration does eliminate the income tax. What are they going to replace it with? UBI, carbon taxes, Neuralink. Remember, Elon Musk was heralded, and it's still there, as the World Economic Forum young global leader. Don't forget that. And his ideologies are perfectly in line with the ideologies of the World Economic Forum. And that doesn't disturb you? And you're going to let your guard down in light of that fact?
God, she's gone. Now, take a look at what Mrs. Levitt had to say about Trump's breakneck pace so far.
That President Trump has taken, obviously, a stark contrast to the previous administration of breakneck speed from President Trump. Can we expect that pace to continue as the first 100 days moves along here and beyond that?
What a pathetic softball, non-journalistic question.
Absolutely. There's no doubt President Trump has always been the hardest working man in politics. I think that's been proven over the past week. This president has again signed more than 300 executive orders. He's taken historic action. I gaggled aboard Air Force One to mark the first 100 days of this administration, 4 p.m. last Friday, or first 100 hours rather. And this president did more in the first 100 hours than the previous president did in the first 100 days. So President Trump, I think you can all expect for him to continue to work at this breakneck speed. So I hope you're all ready to work very hard. I know that we are.
Trump,
the father of the vaccine and the guy who was bought and paid for back in the 90s by Rothschilds Inc. under Wilbur Ross, who 25 years later became Trump's Commerce Secretary. He's going to take care of business. He's going to tell you the truth. He's there for the American people.
Didn't become president to sit on his butt all day doing nothing. He ran for president so that he could make the country great again. And guess what? That's exactly what he's doing. And now I do want to say real quick, guys, if you want to help me make this channel great, the best way to do so is by donations.
And this president will not tolerate illegal immigration into America's interior. And he expects every nation on this planet, again, to cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens who illegally entered into our country and broke America's laws. Won't be tolerated. And as you saw, the Colombian government quickly folded and agreed to all of
What about the Federal Reserve, who entered the country and broke America's laws? What about the IRS, who's constantly breaking America's laws, who's being a domestic terror cell on American soil? What about them? Why aren't they being taken care of?
President Trump's demands? Flights are underway once again.
You hear that? So the message is loud and clear. When we deport illegal immigrants, their home country needs to accept them back, or there will be severe punishments, just like we already saw with Colombia. Now, I have a feeling you guys are going to absolutely love this next clip. This is probably the biggest bombshell of the day. Take a look at this.
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
If you are
The reason people come into this country is they're incentivized by the government, whether Republican or Democrat, to come into this country. Whether you have a CIA or an FBI that's headed by a Republican or a Democrat, they are running drugs. They are incentivizing for people to come across the border and make a living illegally. Most of these illegals didn't harm anybody, didn't threaten to harm anybody, didn't damage property, didn't steal property, and yet we have the Zio International Banking Cartel stealing from us every single day, and you're going to go after the little piss ants when you should be attacking the lions and the bears and the hyenas that are really causing the problems?
illegal immigrant, you are a criminal and you will be deported. Period. That is the official stance of this Trump administration, and boy, is that nice to hear. It's
so easy to turn your mind off and act like a fifth grader because a lot of people, obviously, look at these numbers. I won't be, he gets more views in one video than I will get all year. And the reason for that is because this kind of message resonates with people who like to turn their minds off. But if you want to turn your mind on, if you want to be illuminated, if you want to evenly distribute criticism, whether it's a Republican or Democrat launched at Washington's District of Criminals, then you're going to be on a narrow road with very few people. This guy right here has completely sold out to the left versus right paradigm lie, clearly. Because you can't get somebody, if you ever had somebody on the right that supports conservative values, that supports, gutting the government, not spending so much and being critical of banksters and all that kind of stuff, you would never have somebody supporting a guy who got bailed out by Rothschilds Inc. back in the 90s. Let's say it was Obama. Let's say you found out that Obama was bailed out by Rothschilds Inc. under Wilbur Ross. And then 25 years later, when Obama becomes president, he makes Wilbur Ross the Commerce Secretary like Trump did. You would reject Obama on that alone, even if everything else he did during his presidency was right. Let's say he eliminated the income tax. He still got bailed out by the bankers, which means he's still owned by the bankers, and his loyalties lie with the bankers and not with the American people. But when you lay that same criticism at the feet of Trump, these people right here short circuit, and it's quite disturbing.
You would think that this would be common sense, but as we've all seen over the last 4 years, the Democrats don't have common sense at all. They're totally comfortable with the country being overrun with illegal immigrants. But guess what? Patriots are back in control of the country, and we're not putting up with this anymore.
No, patriots aren't in control of the country. You know who's in control of the country? Same people who were in control in the last administration, the administration before that, the people who own the issuance and value of every single dollar, even illegals own. Every single dollar that Matt Moore's TV owns. These are controlled by the real money master, the real people who've got their hands firmly on the gears of what's going on in this country. Those are the people who are really in control. Patriots aren't in control.
Although, of course, there had to be just one member of the liberal media in the audience that wasn't happy with the news. Well, guess what? Mrs. Levitt absolutely destroyed him. Take a look.
NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking though. He said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore you are subject.
Imagine using the resources of the American people to focus on grains of sand when Everest hangs in the background. Why not go after the politicians, the political parasites, the judges, the 12,000 lobbyists in Washington's District of Criminals who made these people want to come to America? Give them a free phone, give them free food, give them a place to stay. Why not go after those criminals who facilitated this federal crime?
To deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
There you have it.
The vast majority of Americans have not experienced any crime at the hand of a migrant, and in fact, have likely benefited because you've got food on your table that was picked by a lot of migrants. But every single American has been victimized incessantly and is still victimized to this very moment right here by the people who extract the value of the thing that you work for. This is the product of your time and laboring energies. I will say it on every video if I have to. But if this being the product of your time and laboring energies is under the control, the issuance and value of this is under the control of the Zio International banking elite and these dark forces in unseen places, then those are the people that you should go after. Those are the people who are victimizing every single American, not the 1 or 2 or 10 or dozen of illegal migrants who happen to be committing petty crimes or even high crimes like murder. Nobody can commit a crime like the central banking cartel, and yet this administration won't do anything about the Zio International Banking Cartel. Why? Because the Zio International Banking Cartel owns them as well, just like they owned the Biden administration. But the Matt Morris TVs of the world aren't going to talk about this. They want you to focus on the little petty stuff while the technocratic bros, the technocratic elite, are instituting their digital dragnet and their surveillance police state so they can monitor every single one of us and instituted technology under Peter Thiel and Palantir Technologies.
Have it. Once again, the message could not be louder or clearer. If you are an illegal immigrant in the United States of America, it's only a matter of time before you are found, apprehended, and deported.
If you're an illegal immigrant in this country, the Trump administration is coming after you, but we will leave the Zio International bankers alone. I mean, really, shame on you, Matt Morris TV, for taking a political side because you've been hoodwinked into believing the legitimacy of the left versus right paradigm lie, dog and pony show going on under the Washington District of Criminals Big Top. Leave your thoughts about this. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. Things are getting serious. Things are getting really, really serious. And we really need to be ready. I will see you in the next video.